Over the years, in the comments section, usually, I'll hear from an expat when talking about social media. They'll say, I don't have a Facebook and I don't ever want a Facebook. And my response to them is that if they plan on dating in the Philippines, not having a Facebook account really puts them at a disadvantage. Now, I can understand if they don't want to have it in their home country, it really doesn't serve much purpose. But in the Philippines, where the culture loves to share just about everything about their life on Facebook, it's a really useful tool as you start meeting Filipinas, whether it's in person, especially on dating sites. I highly recommend, number one, don't use dating sites. But if you just have to use them, as quickly as possible, ask for their Facebook account. Get added as a friend or invite them to become part of your friends list so that you can access whatever they're making available in their photo section, videos, etc. Now, another complaint that guys will make as to why they don't want to have a Facebook is they'll say, well, I don't want the whole world to know my business. Well, Facebook, the way it works, is kind of like your own little mini newspaper or bulletin board. The only thing that's going to show up on your Facebook is what you put there. So if you don't want people to know your full legal name, don't put that. Put your nickname. Filipinas do this all the time. It's kind of rare you run into one that really puts her full legal name. Usually they put some nickname that they're known by in the local barangay. And if they put that they work at the Krusty Krab, which in case you don't know is a fictitious restaurant from SpongeBob SquarePants, that pretty much tells you they're unemployed. So if you don't want people to know your personal business, like where you live, where you're from, what high school you went to, what city you're living in currently, your political position. If you don't want anybody knowing anything personal about you, simply don't post it on Facebook. So there really is no good reason to not have a Facebook. Although the final complaint I do get is from guys who say, well, it all looks so complicated. I'm not a tech guy. I can't figure it out. Well, what have you done your whole life when you encountered something that you didn't know how to do? You learned how to do it. There was a time in your life you didn't know how to change a tire. So what did you do? You learned how to change a tire. And on YouTube, there are plenty of tutorials that will walk you step by step how to create a Facebook account, how to make it private, how to do just about anything on Facebook. When you don't know, learn. Because what we'll get into now is the advantage of having a Facebook account. Now, you can create a Facebook account, or if you already have one and you've already just overshared way too much of your life, you can create a new one. Or you can do what I call pruning and delete and make private anything that you don't want shared, including your phone number, your email address, all of that stuff. Personally, I think it's easier to just start a new one. Or if you really want to continue using the one you have, go ahead and make some changes. One change I would recommend right away is making your friends list private. Now, the reason I did this many years ago, over a decade ago, was because as the channel became more popular, I was getting a lot of requests from Filipinas, and the only reason, and they'll do this to you too, the only reason they wanted to be added as your friend was to go directly to your friends list and start introducing themselves to every foreigner that you may or may not know on Facebook. So for that reason, I make my friends list not visible. So let's take a look at how having a Facebook account can help you in your dating endeavors in the Philippines. We'll look first at quite a few red flags to look out for as you're looking at a Filipina's Facebook account. And then we'll follow that with some of the positive things you want to keep an eye out for. Over the years, guys have contacted me online and said, hey, here's the link to the Facebook of Filipina that I plan on meeting. Can you just look it over and give me your assessment? I have done that so many times. No, I don't charge for it. I just simply examine the Facebook, and after having lived here since 2012, I can usually spot things that they just did not know to look for. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Just depends on the Filipina link that they send me. So let's take a look at some of the red flags that you can look out for when you go to visit a Filipina's Facebook. Now, number one, you don't want to see just the public one available to everybody. You want to get added as a friend, because many posts that are made are only viewable and visible if you are on her friends list. So if you ask her to add you to her Facebook friends list and she refuses, that's kind of a red flag. And if she has a Facebook account that is set to private and insists on only having communication with you on WhatsApp, that's another huge red flag. She is keeping her entire life a mystery and really communicating with you through this tiny little pinhole of WhatsApp, where you can't see anything that's going on in her life, really. So if she insists on staying on WhatsApp, won't add you to her Facebook, again, that's another red flag. Another red flag is if you go to her Facebook and she has posts there linking to her TikTok account. Now, a TikTok account is not necessarily a bad thing. What is she posting on her TikTok account? Is she posting funny little videos of her puppy, or is she there just in a bikini, one video after another, seductively dancing in her bedroom, trying to get guys to look at her? Is that really the kind of woman you want as a girlfriend material? A woman that is basically filling her inbox daily with contact from guys that saw her dancing half naked there on her TikTok? Again, there's another red flag. Once you are on her Facebook account, the next thing you want to do is go to her friends list. Now, what I've found is the majority of the time, their friends list is visible. And what you want to do is just start scrolling through the page that shows her friends. And the first thing you want to notice is how many people are on her friends list. Normal is somewhere around 100, 200. That would be her classmates and relatives and friends. But when she has 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 people on her friends list, and you're scrolling through it, and it's a whole bunch of Filipino guys and a whole bunch of foreigners, you can pretty much bet, again, her inbox is full every day and you're just another guy. The next thing you want to do is go over to the tab where her photos are. This is where the real detective work and training your eye starts coming into play. As you're looking at the majority of her photos, assuming she even has any, I find it kind of sketchy when a Filipina says, oh, here's my Facebook account, and she doesn't post any photos. There's basically nothing there. That tells me this is the sterile version of her Facebook account that she uses for meeting new foreigners, and somewhere else she's got another account that shows the real her. So you go to her photos section, and what you don't want to see is that a whole lot of these pictures seem to have alcohol in the background. It could be that she's hanging around some plastic tables in the barangay with her friends, drinking it up every Thursday. It could be that she's constantly in a nightclub, partying it up. Okay, that gives you a little bit of insight to where she spends a good portion of her time. Another thing you want to look for in the photo section is if she says she is 18 or 19, but all the photos in her photo section are her in school, and all of her Filipino friends, her classmates, if all of them look like they're 16, 17 years old, guess what? She's also probably 16, 17 years old. Another thing you want to keep an eye out for in her photos section is a lot of photos where she's at a really nice resort, a really nice restaurant, any nice location that you know damn well she cannot afford. Now, once in a blue moon, you may be talking to a Filipina who is a real estate agent or has her own business, and she can afford to go stay at a nice resort or whatever. And I found that the majority of those times, she'll have like her BFF Filipina friend there with her at the resort, and they're just having a girls' weekend out, whatever. But the majority of the time, what you're going to see is selfies of her at some really nice resort, pictures of her really nice breakfast or lunch or dinner. Somebody paid for that. Some expat paid for that. And if she's got a lot of those type of photos, guess what? Either she has a boyfriend or fiance already, or on a regular basis, she has expats taking her out to all these places. Now, you do with that what you will. Maybe you look at that and you go, well, that's the kind of girl I want. I want one that'll just go to the hotel with me, spend the weekend. But if you're looking for an actual relationship, somebody to get serious and start dating and stuff, this is not the kind of girl you want to be dealing with. Another thing you want to keep an eye out for in their photos, especially the selfies of themselves, is any evidence that they're using filters. If every photo she has of herself has perfectly smooth complexion, not a single flaw, there's a very high chance she's using an AI filter. And there are even AI filters that can be applied in live video. So don't think that just by doing a video chat, you're seeing the real person. There are AI video filters that will make her look like a beauty queen, even though she just crawled out of bed with no makeup. So always be suspicious when it just looks too perfect. Another thing to keep an eye out for is when all their selfies are done from the exact same angle, which is usually holding the camera above their head, looking down. I have found that when Filipinas use that angle, they're hiding the fact that their midsection is a bit bigger than what you might prefer. A woman that looks great in a variety of angles isn't concerned with taking every single photo from exactly the same angle. Another thing to look out for when you're reviewing her photo section is if she says that she is single, never married, and most importantly, has never had kids, but you seem to notice that the same kid is constantly hanging on her picture after picture, you can ask her about it, and it might very well be her kid, but if she's dishonest, she'll just tell you, oh, that's my favorite nephew, that's my favorite niece. So I find it a bit suspicious. I mean, I could understand one or two pictures with your favorite nephew or niece, but when there's 20, 30, 40 pictures and you're constantly taking pictures of this one kid and this one kid is always with you, I'd start suspecting this is her kid. Again, that'll take some time to really verify and figure out. Another red flag to keep an eye out for in the photo section, and this depends on your own preference, but you might see the first few photos looks pretty normal. But then as she gets to wearing other type of clothing or bikinis, now you find out she has a tattoo on her breast or a tattoo anywhere. Now, if you enjoy tattoos, then that's not a big deal for you. But if you are not attracted to women with tattoos, if that's a total turnoff for you, going through her photo section and seeing those tattoos before you even meet her, at least you'll know what you're walking into. And as long as we're referencing bikini pictures, this is another thing. A province girl who is out at the beach with her family will go swimming, usually in a t-shirt with a bra underneath and wearing some kind of denim shorts or whatever. That's considered modest for swimming apparel out with the family. But if a Filipina has plenty of photos that she's posting next to the pool or next to the beach, and she's in a skimpy string bikini, These are the daring Filipinas. These are the Filipinas that know this is what foreigners want to see. So again, just another data point to tell you where her head is at. The conservative, traditional, old school Filipinas do not wear those unless they're like in a relationship with a foreigner and they're away from the family, out at a resort. Okay, then they will wear it, but they're not going to be so quick to be posting it where their family can see it. Remember, if you're looking for a traditional woman, she's going to show signs of being a traditional woman. So keep the whole string bikini, micro bikini thing in mind as you're looking through her photos. Another red flag is, as you're looking in her photo section, notice the date. If she hasn't posted a recent photo in 6 months or a year, there's a reason for that. And if she posts photos where she looks, let's just say 25 years old, and that photo was posted, say, a year ago, but the photo she just posted a week ago, she looks more like she's 19 or 20. She is backlogging old photos from when she was younger and posting them more recently to give the impression that that's what she still looks like. So take a look at the date and the progression of age as you check out her photo section. Now, that's not all the red flags to look out for, but it's the ones that come to mind. It's the ones that I keep an eye out for. Again, you're just going to have to use your intuition. I recommend, again, don't get distracted with the photo just looking at her. Look at what's in the background. Does this make sense? Does this tell you something about her? The location, the people, the objects. Does she have a whole bunch of expensive clothes laying on her bed in her little barangay place in the province? Okay, so who paid for that lingerie laying on the bed? Who paid for those nice dresses? See, looking at the background will often tell you more than looking at her standing in the foreground. So let's look at some of the positive things to just kind of keep an eye out for as you're looking through, again, a prospective Filipina's Facebook page. Looking at her bio and also looking at her photos, one thing that you may take notice of is she attending college? Now, in the Philippines, many Filipinas attend college at 17 years old. So what you want to try to find out is if she actually is over 18. Don't assume she's over 18 just because she's a freshman in college. Also, if you want to date a Filipina that can just pick up and go with you, for a vacation or whatever, if she's already locked down to a schedule being in college classes, she's not the type of girl that's going to be able to do that. Maybe you want to date a college girl, maybe you don't, but that's something you can find out looking at her Facebook. Similar thing with, does she have a job? Are there photos of her, just candid photos with her and her workmates? Okay, that kind of tells you she has a job, or at least she did at the time of the photo. And it might even tell you where she works. Maybe she works in a call center. Maybe she works at the mall. Maybe she works at a food kiosk or a food court. Maybe she's a real estate agent. Maybe she's a nurse. Another thing to look out for in her photo section that's a positive is if she posts photos lacking all the previous stuff that we just talked about. She's not out at the bar. She's not sitting next to a bottle of alcohol. Instead, she has maybe photos of her attending church or a lot of family gatherings, just everyday normal stuff. Nothing, no pictures at the resort, just everyday life. Whether she lives in the city or the province, we tend to post photos of the things that we prioritize in our life. The final thing would be to take a look at her friends list. And again, if it's only maybe 100, 250 people, and you're looking through the list, it's available, public to see, and the people on her friends list are mostly just Filipino family members. They'll have the same last name, and there are hopefully no other expats on her Facebook. Again, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. It may be that some expat invited her and added her, and maybe they talked a year ago and there's nothing going on there. The guy moved on, and just because there's an expat on her friends list, don't assume she's in a relationship with the guy. But a good green light thing is if there's no other expats on her friends list. Or I would probably put the max at maybe 3 or 4. Once you start getting into 5 or more expats on her friends list, that doesn't mean she's a bad person, but it does mean she's probably conversing with at least a few of them. So I hope that gives you just sort of some working parameters and metrics to work with that I've used over the years. Again, this is not everything, but it's a good start for you to just develop that mindset, that sort of critical eye. But again, you don't want to be overly critical. You don't want to just start blocking Filipinas and not meeting them just because there's one photo of them at a hotel standing by the pool. You're going to have to look at all the data points, and are you getting more red flags than green lights? Or are you getting more green lights and just a few questionable things? If there's any other things that you look out for when you're checking out a Filipinas Facebook, feel free to share that in the comments and we can all benefit from that.